What's up, everybody? It's Chris with Pro Photo, and this is Geared Up. This is our weekly live broadcast where we talk about lighting, gear, photography. We just try to answer questions, have a good time, learn some stuff, and again, just have a good time. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be discussing them as we're talking about the subject that we're talking about today. So, what are we talking about today? We are talking about how to drag your shutter using flash or just using lighting in general. So the idea of dragging your shutter is pretty simple. It's just using a slower shutter speed. You're dragging out the amount of time that that shutter stays open. What that can do is it can introduce more light into your sensor. It doesn't freeze motion, so it can add like this nice ethereal kind of like blur effect to your photography. And what's cool is when you start to mix it with flash, you can freeze elements and have motion in some elements, and that's really cool. And then when you really start playing with more stuff like colored gels and whatnot, you can have even more fun. So that's kind of what we have set up today. We're doing this in unison with our Share the Light competition that we have going on prophoto.com. So if you're not a member of Share the Light, make sure you go over to prophoto.com, become a member of Share the Light. It's free. We a place where you can share photos. You can get cool looks behind the scenes because people are either sharing a BTS photos or they're sharing lighting diagrams. It's a really, really cool place to just come and share work and learn some cool stuff. So make sure you're checking out Share the Light, get in on the competition because you could win some stuff. So today, we're going to be doing the same drag shutter. I know last week we also talked about, I just say this because when Kate and I were sitting here last week, we were like, oh, hey, we're going to be doing the same setup thing because we're going to go outside. Our outside dragging the shutter failed in a manner in which one of our cameras went for a swim. So this is
this week's been really tough.
It was a little rough, but we're good. We're gonna overcome it. So we're inside doing a drag the shutter thing this week, and you know we'll go back out and try it again when we feel like we're not going to drown another one of our cameras. So we're inside. So let's talk about our setup today inside and what we're doing. So one of the cool, actually, before we even start talking about the setup, let's talk about why you'd want to use flash. So again, the cool thing about using flash with dragging the shutter is you have the ability to freeze moments. So
it says pictures or it didn't happen.
I didn't, you know what? So someone's saying pictures or it didn't happen. I can try to turn,
Connect.
I can, oh yeah. Oh, here, hand me my Connect, it's right up there.
It's in a million pieces.
Yeah,
somewhere.
that's right here.
Oh.
So in case you were wondering, so when it fell, so the tripod plate released somehow, camera fell, came down Connect first, and then hit the concrete and into the water. We saved almost everything except for the AAA batteries, but you can see the Connect is...
Oh, it's roached.
It's smoked. Yeah, it just came down like this and just ripped that ride out. So that's my trophy now. So
lost the lens.
Yeah.
Camera.
I don't think we've lost the lens. It just might have to go in and get cleaned. But it was a rough day. But that being said, when you're dragging the shutter and using your flash, again, you can freeze moments. It's one of those things too where we talk about when we're telling people that, you know, freeze mode when you're trying to stop action is the thing that you want to use over trying to turn your shutter speed up really, really high, especially when you're using flash. Because as long as you can control your ambient light, the moment that the flash goes off is going to be exponentially faster for the most part, depending on your power setting, than the speed of your shutter. So some of these flashes can do like T1 numbers of like 13,000, 14, 15,000th of a second speeds. Is way faster than your shutter. So that same thing's going to apply. So it doesn't matter how long we keep the shutter open. If I was to turn the actual light that we're going to be using, I'll talk about this here in just a second. If I was going to turn the light that we're using to make the blur off, it would freeze Kate even though she's still moving. So again, the cool thing about the flash is it does a really good job of just stopping the motion, and then we're going to let the motion keep being read by the shutter because we're going to add in a constant light. So light setup wise, we're using I think this is just a regular B10. Yeah, so a B10X here with some orange gels. We might mix up the gels and play some other stuff, but we have 2 CTOs in there. Is that one not super happy?
Yeah.
Oh, it's trying to do the reset thing. I'll go and fix it here in just a second before we start.
Flip over. I was just trying to troubleshoot.
So on this B10X right here, we are going to be using two CTOs inside of this. And again, we'll probably switch this up and mess around with it. But then we have a OCF zoom reflector on the end of it. That's just to give a little bit more light output because gels do absorb light. And we're going to be using, we kind of push the camera a little bit with some of this stuff. But yeah, so we're got the OCF zoom here. On this side, we have a OCF gel set up with a blue gel inside of it and a magnum reflector. Again, just to get a little more light output. That way I'm conserving battery life. And if I needed to push it a little bit harder, I could push it a little bit harder. So cool stuff there. Now, for our constant light portion of this, you can do this a couple of different ways. So I could have easily added in another B10 right here with another gel on the front of it and let that be, and turn the constant light on and let that always on light be the thing that adds that in. I have these cool little video lights called Pavo tubes that you can do all kinds of funky effects with, and we were trying some different things. It wasn't giving us exactly what we wanted, so we went to a standard color, but I can change their full RGBW, so I can make them do whatever the heck I want them to do. So I've got a Pavo tube up here. This is just going to be our main light introducing the color. So, and then whenever you're doing this technique, you want to cut out as much, if not all, the ambient as you can. White light is incredibly powerful. It doesn't take a lot for it to overcome whatever colors that you're trying to introduce into the shot. So you want to try to minimize that as much as you can. So yeah, with that being said, let's take some photos. Let me see if I can sort out this little camera operation really fast. Hit cancel. I think it's doing this. There it goes. Cool. I think we're good on the side shot. Yeah. I think we're friends on the side shot.
You want the side shot here?
You can if you want to. If it freaks out again, we can go to the super wide from the front. But so we're gonna go ahead and kill this shot right here, and I'm gonna kill this overhead light. Luckily, because it also helps too that we're using the Pavos, because there'll still be some light for you to actually see us. So it's not like we're doing a live in the dark, although we kind of are. You can kind of see me, right? Yeah, I'm purple. So maybe we should show them how you would build something like this. So I'll show you first and foremost how the flash still stops the action, even though you still have the shutter being open for a long period of time. So make sure that all extra light is off. So camera settings wise, just so you kind of know what we're working with here, I'm shooting at f8. I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 1 second. Oh, and before we do anything else, so I'm going to explain what we're an additional little thing that we're doing. The 1 second just reminded me of it. And ISO 100. So I'm going to be doing two separate shutter releases. So I have a Connect Pro in my hand and I have a Connect on top of my camera. The initial firing, so I'm gonna say 3, 2, 1, go, and that's gonna give Kate the signal that she needs to start her movement. So, oh, we're over here now?
Yes,
sir. So we're gonna go 3, 2, 1, go, and that's gonna give her signal that she needs to start her movement. Before that 1 second's over, I'm going to manually trigger this flash with the Connect Pro in my hand. And that's gonna give us 2 portions of the frame in which Kate is frozen. So, and it should do it because they're gelled different colors, it'll do it at different times, and then we'll have this cool blur in between. So it's like this frozen in action portrait, this movement into the second frozen in action thing. So a lot of times people will just kind of do the one shot and then they'll move and they'll have the cool drag. We're going to do two sequential flash firings while the exposure is happening, and that'll give us 2 frozen images within it. So I'll shut up now. So I'm gonna turn this Pavo light off. Jump up in your spot really fast, Kate. I'm gonna pull focus before the camera doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna turn the Pavo light off just so you can see that this thing freezes. Although there's a lot of extraneous light coming in from the computer, but we'll see. Here we go.
Sorry for the darkness.
That's all good. So 3, 2, 1, go. One more time. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, cool. So the flash is going to freeze her no matter what, even though we're at 1 second. So that's the beauty of the flash. Just so I could show you what I was talking about when I meant that the flash freezes that action. So even though we're working with a 1 second shutter speed, the flash is faster than that, and it's going to only expose for that moment in time that it was on. So now, if we, and this is going to be without the second flash, I'm just going to show you this with the movement of Kate. So here we go. So 3, 2, 1, go. So you can see now, because we've introduced a consistent, an always on light, we have this really cool blur effect that's starting to happen. So it's just something that adds a little more interest to the image. I mean, the blue gel's already fun. It's already interesting. But because we have this constant light always on, it's exposing the image while the shutter's still open. So the flash is instantaneously, because again, freezes that action, but the constant light's always on, introduces all that blur to the shot. So now I want to freeze a second portion of the shot. So I want to freeze the initial go, or the initial position of Kate, and then once she starts her movement, I want to freeze the end of it. And so that's what this second flash is going to do, and that's why I have it in my hand. So what's going to happen is I'm going to trigger my camera. By
the way,
do what?
I had to move it back.
Oh, I'm back over here because that thing's freaking out.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So what I'm going to wind up doing is talk to you over here. The connect on top of my camera is going to initiate this first flash. It's going to fire, and you can do this separately. I mean, you can do it in second curtain modes, where the second curtain fires this flash, and then you manually trigger this flash, however you want to do it. But I'm in first curtain mode. The initial opening of the shutter will fire this flash. It'll gather all the information from Kate's movement, and then I will manually trigger this flash before my shutter speed ends. I have a little timer on the screen that tells me how much time I have left. And it'll be really, really cool. So again, I'll be quiet and show you what we're doing. So take a tiny step this way, I think, towards the blue light. Oh, sorry. There we go. Perfect. 3, 2, 1, go. So now there'll be a second frozen image in the shot when it populates. So there you go. You can see it now. So there's a second frozen shot of Kate. So now you have the end of the motion, the beginning of the motion, and the motion in between. So it's one of these things that you can, that's really, really fun to play with. And then depending on what you wanted to, you could flash this as many times as you wanted to. And get a whole bunch. I mean, we might as well do it. We're here. Does anybody have any questions? I saw something move.
Let's see. So to clarify, you're firing a flash initially with the first curtain and then firing another flash before the second curtain, while the constant light shows us the motion in between.
Exactly. So there's 2 flash exposures happening.
Great clarification. During the single exposure
of the camera. So the flash is making, there's 2 flash exposures, and they're separate from one another. So this flash here to my left is going to fire on the triggering of my camera. So just like a normal flash would do in first curtain shutter mode, you hit the trigger, that flash fires. Because my shutter is now open for 1 second, all of this magenta light is going to start to infiltrate that sensor, and it's going to start to add all of Kate's movement. And then before the timer's up, and this is a manual portion of it, so like I've screwed it up a couple of times already while we were getting ready. If I miss that 1 second, this flash isn't going to go off. I have to trigger this manually. So yes, 2 flash exposures, 1 camera exposure. Hopefully.
How are you triggering the flash curtain? Asks Jackie.
So the flash curtain is just inside. So the flash doesn't have a curtain. Your camera is what has a curtain. Great question, Jackie. So I'm talking a lot about curtains. So the curtain is the thing in front of your sensor. So it opens and closes. Those are your first and second curtain. So first curtain, second curtain. So it's happening, just so you know, I'm in first curtain mode. So as soon as the first curtain opens, my flash is going to fire. The camera is going to go, okay, I'm sending a signal of fire. So the camera triggers the first flash by itself, just by me starting the exposure. The second flash doesn't have anything to do with the camera. That is a manual exposure. So that's this trigger in my hand, me firing it myself. So again, I can decide when I want that flash to fire. I can have it later. I could have it sooner. I could fire it a bunch of times, which we were just getting ready to do to show you that you can freeze multiple portions of the shot within the frame, just depending on how you want to go about it. So let's do that now so I can show you that the flash is what's going to stop that motion, but you'll still see this really pretty blur in between. And I went ahead and switched this gel over to blue so that we have like kind of congruent lights in the freezing, but we'll still have this cool magenta cast.
And then Kay says, wouldn't a strobe function be a good addition to the ProPhoto Connect app?
Yes, a strobe function would be phenomenal addition to the ProPhoto Connect app. It is something that a couple of the photographers at ProPhoto have been in discussions with the product development team. The cool thing about the Connect and the Connect Pro, because they're so programmable, we should be able to add a ton of that kind of stuff. So hopefully I won't have to do this manually, and we could add in a stroboscopic effect. But in the interim, we can do it manually, and I'm going to show you. So this is going to be multiple shots. So I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, go. When I say 3, 2, 1, go, be going, and I'm going to just keep going for 1 second. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. So I got like 2 or 3 more shots off in that, and you can see as soon as it populates here in a second how it kind of froze her, and I got two shots off. It froze her in 2 different positions. And you could have a ton of fun with this. I mean, like you could, if you had like a stroboscopic setup or something like that, or some kind of interval thing where it could pop between channels, which is something, again, that's a feature that we're looking into. You could have multiple colors, and it could go pop, 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 all within that time frame, and you get a bunch of different colors. So it just depends on how you want to go about it. Because we are flashing a lot more in that, the flash overcame some of that pink magenta in the shot, so it's not as purpley. I could probably pull the power back a little bit more and get some of that back.
Let's see. So Jan has a question for you. Okay. How about shutter curtain in mirrorless cameras? Does it work the same way?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know the techniques. I shoot mirrorless cameras. I don't know the technicality behind it. I would guess yes. I could be totally wrong. I probably am. But
Do you have an answer in there for?
Yeah, if somebody actually knows about if there's physical curtains, I believe that there are, but again, I could be wrong. But still the same idea of first and second curtain, even if there aren't physical curtains, still works the same. So all the camera's going to do is on the moment that it starts the exposure, it's going to fire the flash in first curtain sync, and right before it finishes the exposure, if you're in second curtain sync, I mean, I guess at this point in time, these things are mostly just computers with pieces of glass on the front of them. So I'm sure the algorithm can do all that kind of stuff.
And then, okay, so Jackie's also piggybacking on her previous question.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I meant, is the setting on the camera to trigger, or is it in the flash? I see the second is manual.
Oh, so the setting for first curtain and second curtain sync. I apologize, Jackie. I'm a numbskull. The setting is generally inside your camera. So your camera, you want your camera you would need your camera to be set to first and second curtain sync, because you need the camera to send the trigger signal to the shoe. So yeah, it's a camera setting, not a trigger setting.
Yes.
Cool.
Okay, cool. Hopefully we answered that for you.
So again, and then again, you can keep playing with the colors. So like say, so I did a blue there, so we flashed blue a bunch of times, but you can just keep having fun with it. You just keep messing with it and doing all kinds of stuff. But again, you're just leaving your shutter open for a longer period of time and allowing whatever extra color that you have out here to infiltrate that shot. So I threw a yellow on here. Let's take another couple more shots. Yeah.
Cool. I'm gonna make you do it.
Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll probably fall, but I'll do it.
I mean,
I'm probably gonna eat it, but that's cool. Cool. Very nice. 3, 2, 1, go. So the yellows, there's a lot more. The yellows is not eating up as much light as the blue was. So it's a little
funky.
It's kind of funky and overpowered. But let's get you in here one more time for one more. I'm going to pull the power back a little bit. Make sure we're back here. Perfect. 3, 2, 1, go. Whoa, she's down.
Okay.
Hey, you're graceful though. So we pull the power back a little bit so it saturates the yellow a touch more. It's not quite so overexposed, but very, very cool, right? So we get 2 frozen positions of Kate, and then you have the cool blur in between. So again, it's just something that you can have a lot of fun with. And make some cool images. It's just a fun way of adding something dynamic to your portraiture. Yeah, sorry, I was setting down my remote. So here, let me fire all this stuff back up so I'm not totally pink. Oh,
Pink looks good. Looks good on you.
Pink does look good on me. Perfect.
We would love to see your take on this.
My take on this? You want me to do it?
Oh,
you want me to do it?
sure. Can I do it?
Is that what they're asking? They want to see.
No,
They.
I was actually saying about the competition.
Oh yeah. Oh, Kate was saying.
I mean, if you want to jump in and do it,
I'll jump in. I'll jump in. Let's do it. Hey, I'm an equal opportunity.
Fine.
I'm an equal opportunity.
Let's see if.
So you just hit the trigger and then hit that trigger. Tell me where you want me to be.
This one and this one.
That one first, then the one in your hand second.
All right.
So tell me where you want me to be. Kate wants to photograph me. So we're doing.
I am shorter than you. You're gonna have. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
You gotta hit the white button on the side of the.
I thought I did. Okay. Oh, all right. Sorry. Redo. They can't see it anyway. I need to put it over there. Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. All right.
She's
I'm a pro here.
She's a pro on the second trigger.
Yeah.
So cool. Beautiful.
There you go.
Don't worry. You only missed twice.
Whatever.
Cool.
You missed a few more times.
I did. I did. I am not a pro by any means. So let me kick these lights on so we can talk.
All right. Any more questions? Pop them in here.
So again, it's a really, really simple technique. I think the idea behind the flash freezing the action for people sometimes is one of those things that people have a hard time wrapping their head around, right? Because you're like, wait, my shutter is open for a really long time. But as long as you're controlling extraneous light, no information's really making it to your sensor in that amount of time, if that makes sense. So, and the instantaneous that the flash fires and turns itself off, the more action freezes. And I'm not actually even in freeze mode. I could flip into freeze mode and get shorter durations with these things, and that would stop even more action. But it's not necessary for some of this stuff because there's supposed to be movement in the image. So, but just so you know that there are things that you can do to play with how crisp portions of the image are and how blurry the other ones are, and you can do all kinds of fun stuff. So any other questions?
Yes. What camera settings were you using again?
So my camera, just because people always like to know, and I don't ever remember if I say it or not, I'm using a Fuji GFX 100S. I have the 85 millimeter lens on, which I think works out to like 60 millimeters or something like that in a 35 millimeter world. Camera settings, I have f8, ISO 100, and I'm shooting a shutter speed of 1 second. So the shutter's staying open for 1 second. That gives me enough time to initiate the initial exposure, and with my slow, chubby thumb, manually press the trigger and get that second exposure. So you could play with it however you want to. You could slow it down some more at the point that. So we're playing with our working distance here a little bit, because as you start to slow that shutter down more and more, this is going to start making its way to the background. So it's just one of those things that you have to kind of play with and see how you want that kind of stuff to work out. We decided to bring the V flat in and then space out a little bit more so it's a darker background so you can see the effect a little bit more. So
let's see. Is there a specific adjustment for the flash duration, or is it a function of the flash power?
Both. So they're asking, is there a setting for flash duration, or is it a function of power? So the flash is ProPhoto is always going to start your flash off in normal mode because the priority is color accuracy. So in a shorter flash duration, you're telling the flash, hey, I don't value color as much as I value stopping the action. Cool. So what a faster flash duration is going to do is going to truncate some of the, or it's going to chop off some of the end of the flash pulse. And a lot of the flash pulse that it chops off are your warm tones. That's why you see things in freeze mode go blue. That being said, it's also a byproduct of your power. So if you're powered all the way up to full power, that's going to be your longest flash duration. It's a lot of light. It's on for a long time. It's probably better to be in normal mode than freeze mode if you're at full power. As you start to bring your power level down, you're going to increase the speed of the flash. This is true for normal mode as well. So if you turn the power down in normal mode, the duration is going to increase there too. But because it's prioritizing color over speed, you're going to still get a little bit longer flash duration. Hopefully I explained that cleanly.
How are you setting flash duration? Did you already answer that?
Someone said, how am I setting flash duration? I didn't care about it because it's not the priority on the image for me. I was just saying that you could go into freeze mode and ensure, like, depending on your power settings, you could go into freeze mode and ensure that you're use some lower shutter speeds and really make sure that the two exposures that are actually captured with the flash are a little more crisp by increasing the flash duration. Honestly, let's go back to Kate because I look like I'm taking like a prom photo. Speaking of which, I'm sure if you follow Kate on Instagram or me on Instagram, you saw the actual prom photo she posted up today. But even here in the, sorry, I'm like walking off to get to my computer, but even here, for the most part, like that initial flash, like the blue color, I mean, look at that. It's pretty sharp, right? So I didn't necessarily need, I didn't need to prioritize flash duration for it. So anything else?
Let's see, guys. Good. Thank you.
Perfect. So this is really fun. Again, if you're not on Share the Light at prophoto.com, go and join there and get in on the competition because honestly, off the top of my head, I don't remember what you can win, but I mean, people have won like A2s and I did.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. People have won A2s and remotes and stuff like that. And so all that kind of stuff is really, really fun. But yeah, go to Share the Light at prophoto.com. It's under the Learn section if you're looking for it. So when you go to prophoto.com, at the top it'll say Learn. I think it's the very first thing. And then I'm like the very last thing. So if you made it to me, then you can find Share the Light. Wah, wah, wah.
Okay. Can you do multiple flash pops with one light?
You can do multiple flash pops with one light. So it would be, here, I'll show you. Let's just do it. I'll show it to you. So what I have.
Jump back in there?
Yeah, let's have you jump back in here. So what you would have to do, so I just want to show somebody this because they're asking, and I like to demo stuff if I can. So what I have set up right now is I just have this second yellow light set up on a different channel. So that's why I can trigger it separately and this flash doesn't go off with it. All I have to do is flip this over to the same channel. So here we go. I want to make sure that they're not on the same groups. They're not. So let's go to channel 1.
Oh, and so, I put my my handle up there if you would like to see what Chris and I looked like 20 years ago. That
was junior prom. So that was, yeah. So,
yeah.
And don't worry, someone's already talked about my soul patch. Like, I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed, dude. I was out here. Let's go. All right, cool. So all I'm doing now is so the cool thing, I mean, any trigger can do this, I believe, but they're just all on the same channel now. So like my camera is going to trigger that flash, but I can also manually trigger that flash. So it's still a 2-trigger thing, at least as we are today. Who knows what firmware will change in the future. So here we go.
Same thing. Same
thing. 3, 2, 1, go. So there you go. That's the same. That's 2 additional exposures from the same direction. It'll just give it a second to populate. There it goes. So that's 2 exposures from the same direction on on Kate. And then you still have all the magenta in there. But again, because there's, you know what I actually kind of want to do? Can we get one more? I want to pull the flash power back a touch.
I definitely had like demon eyes.
Yeah, some devil eyes. That's cool. Yeah.
One over here.
So let's go here really fast. I want to make sure, I want to pull this power back just a skosh. I want to go back to another stop down and just see what happens. I want to see if I can bring some more saturation in the blue back in on Kate. So come forward.
Are you doing the same thing?
Same thing, same light. Yeah. Here we go. And this is, again, this is the one light flashing multiple times. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I feel a little bit better about that. It's not the blue's not overpowering. Very cool. Sweet. Awesome. Any other questions, or are we signing off for this bad boy?
I think I've got it. Pop it in if you have any last minute.
Cool. So I'm going to start the initiation process. If you have a question as we're shutting it down, let me know. I'll throw it in there real fast and then I'll close it out. But again, make sure you go to profooter.com, share the light, get on the competition, win some stuff. I want you to win some stuff. Go do it.
I want to see what you come up with too.
Yeah, I do. I want to see. I mean, you can make some cool, you can do some cool things. You just have to kind of think. Hopefully I've given you enough information to arm yourself with that you can, go make some funky stuff that people haven't been thinking about making, that I quite honestly haven't thought about making. Don't drop your camera in any water while you're doing it. But with that being said, I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Kate and I are on vacation next week, so we're actually off. So you will not see us next week, but the competition ends next Sunday on the 9th, I believe that is, on April 9th. So make sure you have a week and a half now to get it in, dragging the shutter. Self-portraits are rad. Do a self-portrait. If you can't get someone in front of your camera in the meantime, just get in the competition and try to win some cool stuff. With that being said, again, hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Hope you have an amazing next week, and we'll see you next time on Geared Up. Peace out, everybody.